I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Thank you for being here. Notice is posted of a regular meeting of the District of the Board of Directors to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on March 12th, 2025, at the hour of 5:30 p.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the district on March 6th, 2025, at 3 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-041-551-050, not less than 72 hours prior to the time of the said meeting. Today, we do have a quorum present. We have Mr. Vaughter, myself, Mr. Friedman, and Mr. Donahue. With notice, Dr. Lalonde and Mr. Starkey will not be with us today. If I may please have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just ask me to explain this and let's take it to item 3, invitation to the audience for public comments. Anyone, staff, board, anyone want to share something?
I just want to mention, Frank Silva has his wastewater fleet license.
Excellent. Congratulations. We like to hear those things. Zoom, is there anyone on there? Victor, I see you. Okay, let's take it to item 4. Consider and discuss for possible approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on February 12th, 2025.
Second.
Motion for approval by Mr. Waters, seconded by Mr. Donahue. All are in favor, none are opposed. The motion does carry. Thank you. Let's take it to 5. Presentation by Adrian Webb, CPA, on the financial audit for the Laguna Madre Water District's financial statements for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024. Welcome.
We do have to,
You just got your name for the record.
Adrian Webb.
Thank you.
We could have 2 binding copies of the audit. One is for the presentation, and it's a smaller copy. That's the one I'll use.
You said this one.
Yes. We will start on page 1. My name is Adrian Webb, and my firm has conducted the audit for the Laguna Madre Water District for the year ending September 30th, 2024. On this section, the most important area I feel like is the recommendations, which is on page 2 in the middle.
For the record, we have Dr. Lalonde joining the meeting. Excuse me.
On the recommendation where it says A, it's the preparation of financial statements, and I'll just read it. The auditor first received financials that were finalized as of August 2024 rather than September 2024. The transactions were entered, however, end-of-year adjustments were not all included, causing a delay in issuance. District is recommended to implement a system to begin preparation of financial statements with less assistance from the auditor. The auditor will provide at the conclusion of this engagement financial statement documents that will allow the district to begin preparing their own financial statements using their own staff and less assistance from the auditors. The self-preparation of the financial statements would result in a better timeline for completion and reduce the risk of the above reoccurring. The second recommendation is for the fixed asset ledger. The district is recommended to perform an analysis of the fixed asset ledger. The prior year balances on the ledgers did not readily agree to the amounts being recorded as prior audit reports. However, like the current year activity, so all the additions, depreciations, and retirements all match this year. So it's mainly an issue that's maybe something got deleted or added on the auditor system, but not on the district system. So we're just trying to identify which one that is. It wasn't a huge amount, considering how many assets you'll have. It's just something that needs to be cleaned up, so it's like everything just ties out and agrees. The next page will be page 3. These are the audit opinions. Overall, the district received a clean opinion with no findings, just the recommendations that we previously mentioned. We did testing for disbursements, purchases, vendors, payroll, all the normal testing, and everything came out good. If you had any questions, Mr. Salazar and the staff, like, answered very quickly and accurately. There was a lot of help. The next page will be page 6. And this is a statement of net position in governmental funds balance sheet. Total assets in the governmental funds were 62.8 million. Total liabilities were 3.9 million. Resulting in a fund balance of total all governmental funds of 58.8 million. Of this money, 851,568 was considered non-spendable, as well as the 964 prepaid items. And 2.3 million is restricted for special revenue funds, which is the emergency preparation and other funds. 4.234 million is restricted for debt service. 26.76 million is restricted for capital projects funds, while 18.63 million is restricted to a LIB project. And that left an unassigned fund balance of about 5.7 in the general. Which is a healthy fund. To the right is the items that are not included in governmental funds, which are the capital assets, which is not being depreciated, which is land, right of use, and construction in progress. And this year it ended at 30.6 million. The capital assets being depreciated was 134 million. Total debt service is $79.6 million, which is long-term debt. The current portion of the long-term debt is going to be 2.681 million. Overall, in the pension liability, there was a net change in this year of 21,000, so it didn't really affect liabilities that much in the pension liability. The next page will be page 8. And that's with the income statement for the district. Total revenue in governmental funds was 15 million in program, with 7.5 million in general revenues. Total expenditures were 27.7 million. Resulting in an overall loss for 5.1 million.
What page are you on? Sorry.
Page 8. I'm sorry.
What numbers are you looking at? I don't see where the numbers are you following.
It'll be on total governmental funds.
8?
Yes.
Total.
Oh, yeah. Are you on that big report or the small one?
Oh, I'm on the little one.
Oh, it's the one. Yeah, that's
I
good.
see it now. It's in the
I'm
total
sorry.
governmental funds. Got it.
Yes.
Thank you. I just didn't know which column you were in.
And most of this is the loss is due to capital outlay of 9.3 million. And y'all also received a bond during the year. So including that bond, like the overall profit for the district was 7.8 million. And that is just to the bond and strictly permission to the bond and you use on capital outlay. Overall, the beginning fund balance was 50.9 million and it ended in 58.8 million. The fund balance in the general fund started at 6.39 million and increased by 432,000 to 6.822 million. On page 9. These are, the expenses and revenues that weren't included in governmental funds. Switch it to the pool. Total additions to capital assets is 9.39 million, while depreciation expense was 3.2 million. Payments made to principal debt, principal long-term debt was 2.495 million. Acquisition of new debt was 12.987 million. And total expenses, or it was total income for the pension due to the adjustments and changes in actuarial assumptions was 268,000. Next page will be page 10. And then this is just a schedule of some of the supplements, but this in the back that shows the fund balances of the last 10 years. It's just important to point out, this is the first year in a few years that both the other fund balance and the general fund balance both increase. So we think it'll be all years for fund balance. Next page is page 11. And this is the budget to actually. It's page 11. And overall, the budget, like nothing went over budget on the expenditure side. It was a little under budget on the revenues, but that doesn't cause any problems on the audit. It's only on the expenditure side, and those were all good. And then pages 12 through 14 are just supplemental schedules. If you have any questions, it's the breakdown of capital assets, long-term liabilities, and y'all's cash and investments. Just the major items we all financially.
Questions, comments, staff, board? Okay, accept this, Eddie?
Yes, it's a good outcome, yes. Clean report. I think we should all be happy about that. And we added to our fund balance as well, which I know was has been a concern in the past.
Questions, comments? Moving on to the next. Thank you, sir. This is a presentation, so we will move on to 6. Consider, thank you, Adrian. Consider and discuss for possible approval of the financial audit report for Laguna Lottery Water District's statements for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024. So moved. Motion made by Dr. Lalonde, seconded by Mr. Water. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Are there any opposed? None. The motion does carry. Thank you. Moving to item 7, general manager's report.
What I have here is the levels on Amistad and Falcon Lakes, 71. They've been there like a couple of months already. And it looks like we're not gonna have any big rain until after May. So I don't know what's gonna happen between now and May. Maybe March,
We need to make sure that the public knows that so that we can get our bond passed.
I think that should help. One of the things is that we just haven't moved on phase 3, so it's still there. If we do go down to under 15, we can, that's when we start moving the phase 2.
What number are we at right now?
3.
What percent?
21%.
Been there for a while.
Yeah.
We might be in a lot more this summer.
You'd be at the 30s.
So that's what it looks like. Between now and the end of summer, we would have some doesn't rain. Like it's supposed to rain. We're behind on the rain. From West Texas all the way down. The southern part of Texas. So this is the best. So anyhow, that's all I have for that, original page 3.
Okay. Thank you, Carlos. Let's move to 8, Director of Operations report.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, Chairman, members of the board. The operational report consists of service orders and callouts that are of distribution and collection nature. The report compares the 2 previous months, which is February and January. The distribution service callout service orders were 256 for the month of February, which were 69 less than the month of January, which had 325. The job codes mostly affected in the distribution side were occupant change, which dropped from 36 to 29. Faulty meters, faulty transmitters dropped from 96 to 62. Check and repair leaks dropped from 31 to 20. And work on angle valve dropped from 18 to 4. On the collection side, we had 51 service orders call out for the month of February compared to January, which had 81. So there were 30 less service calls call outs. The job codes that were mostly affected were the warehouse items, which dropped from 5 to 0, and the preventive maintenance dropped from 36 to 17. On the lift station and pre-treatment department, their service orders for February were 41 compared to January at 45. So there was a drop of 4. And that mostly affected were the full and repair pump, which went from 4 in January to 0 in February. That concludes the operation report. Any questions?
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, sir.
Let's move along to 9, District Engineers report, Carl.
Good evening. So the first one we have here is just an update on these construction contracts. Got a lot going on. And so this first one is just the status of the liquidation rehab project. I guess the contractor there is still needing to address punch list items at lift station number 4 there in Laguna Heights. But we did process this last pay application number 8. So the contractor has been paid pretty much 97% of the contract. So, but within that portion, we are still retaining about 390,000, and there's 116,000 that still needs to be billed for the final completion. So there are some items that are still pending. So he hasn't reached substantial completion yet because for some of the components at that wet well, he does need to bypass, take it offline to complete his punch list item. So he's still accruing penalties at 500 a day until he can reach his time limit. So right now, in our first streams, we're still holding about 500 grand, and at the state level, in terms of what's held in escrow, is about 200,000. So there's that 300,000 that we're gonna have to try to negotiate in the LDs to see how we're gonna settle this contract because he's so far over his time. But that's where we're standing right now on the station project.
So what is our option to tap into his bond or what?
Well, no, we're gonna resolve it through liquidated damages because he is, his just from time, he's on the range of about 300,000 penalties. So yeah, he's up there. So we're trying to get all that resolved to close out the festival. Yeah, that's where we're at with lift stations. And then as far as to the remainder of the projects, water plant 1, it's still blowing and going. We're still sitting at a completion of November 28th, 2025. And elevated storage tank number 6. We had it took some time to get the escrow funds released from the state. That happened last week, so we were able to pay all their pay applications for work performed in December and January. And so as we receive the invoice from February, we should be on track to turn around, and make sure the contractors get paid. As far as percent billed, they billed 21% for digging down the tower here right next to the building. And the rest of the cost is all the foundations. So the foundation and underground will get removed when they come back to remove the still tanks. And that will happen until the end of around September, October timeframe. And then as far as the tank itself, the foundation's in the ground, so that one's at like another 21%. And so they're already pouring the first lift of the pedestal. So over the next month or so, you're gonna start to see that pedestal rise for the new water tower here at on Woody's Lane. And then you can already see the ground storage tank that's popping up. They're working on the dome right now in the MF building, so you're starting to see a lot of the stuff.
So do we get to pick like color or anything of this, or can we put a logo on it? Or-
Yeah, we're getting both, we're getting the school logo and the water district logo, they're both part of the
Okay.
contract to be putting on
That's
the
more
stuff.
than my personal.
Yeah, so we went ahead and put all that in the contract. So all that, you'll start seeing that pedestal rise show over the next month, about Greenfield Lakes and the beach section of the morning. So it's moving pretty good. Just jumping over to the raw water transfer pump station, which is the one getting the water pump from the reservoir in Laguna Vista over to Port Isabel. Basically, we've been on site with AEP. There's overhead electric that needs to get moved underground and out of the way. So we've already got that process started.
Why
And-
is that?
Oh, it's just in conflict, we're gonna do a new platform and the pump station, and then it's just in close proximity to the overhead electric lines. And just for clearance.
The ones that are kind of set further back,
Yeah, we're talking everything further inside the property, adjacent to the red.
so I have those two like A-frame or H-frame things of wires, so is it those ones, like the ones further back off the road, or these ones that run right along the highway?
Well, the ones that are further back off the road, those are transmission lines, and then there's the one on Highway 100 itself, and all that's to remain in place.
Okay.
So even like, if we get all the way into our property, even between where our water plant is at and that reservoir in the back.
Yeah.
Basically, when we get inside our fence at that corner, that's where we're gonna drop our first pole and do a dumping. So you won't see anything different on the street. All that's gonna remain as shown. And a big part of why everything from 100 to the back end of the properties, we're not gonna touch any poles offsite, is because that would just add another cost that we don't need to get into.
Yeah.
So we're not touching it. We're just staying with the existing pole at our existing transfer pump, and that's what we're doing the job. Yeah, and there is gonna be an invoice that for the estimate that for that change of power is at the district cost. So that's something we'll have to be in addition to the contract. But the thing is, there were two options, because the NEMA 4X stainless steel soft starts, they have a long lead time. But then the other option is to go with like a NEMA 1 or 12, but those lower grade enclosures would need, fiberglass building, air conditioning, and kind of have a lot more, risk, I suppose, in terms of being exposed to weather or just having to take care of it more O&M efforts. And so I think what we've elected during the review is to stick with the additional time it's going to take to get the NEMA 4X enclosures, soft starts, rather than dealing with something that'll save us time today, but it could cause problems down the road. And so basically, we'll start up the water plant at the end of the new raw water transfer pump station being online. So we'll have to feed it with our existing, pump station in the interim until we can get these soft starts, because that's going to drag the time. But it's all within reason. We can still get everything done and come together. But I think it's better for us to take the extra time to do it right versus trying to rush something and get a lower quality product. So yeah, that's how we're approaching now. And yeah, so that's where we're at. The standby generator for water plant 1, we still haven't got approval from TWB to advertise plans and specs. And the same thing with the high service pumps at water plant 2. So once we can get through their bureaucracy, we'll advertise those and put them on the street. But it's just backlog at Texas Water Development Board to be able to advertise those last 2 contracts for construction. So, and then, yeah, so that's kind of, there is a summary of the budget on here for the SRF monies. So the total release to date is what, 2.27 million out of the 12.98 million. And that includes the escrow for the 1,072,000 for that we just paid Landmark for the elevator storage tank. And so basically the next update is going to include the construction contract for the raw water transfer pump station. And then in a couple of months, we'll be adding those contracts 3 and 4 that still need to go through the approval process. But that's what we're sitting on, the drinking water project. And then last but not least is the Long Island Village water and sewer. We got the main lines in place on Oyster Clam, South Half of $7. I think we're making headway on resolving the issues for the county. I mean, the county is allowing us to work on yard lines, and the main lines. But they are asking for building permits for each individual lot to be in place before we turn on meters. So we're going through that process with the county to get all of those aspects resolved, to get all the connections set up. So like the RV slots, when there's concrete pads for an RV park, that's gonna require variance through the county to get a building permit to connect. So we're going through those hoops. But there's a path for it to get done. And as far as timing, from NetBank bond resolution, we have to be done by October 1st, 2026. And our construction contract, we're looking at finishing around January, February 2026, or we be complete. So we're staying ahead of our schedule that's needed for everything.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're doing right there. Going down the back. This the first bullet, the construction contract status. So I don't know, any other questions on that? All right, so I guess jumping over to the next bullet, it's our seawater reverse osmosis facility, the pilot plant study. We did submit the pilot plant protocol to TCEQ back in August, and we actually got our approval February 19th. So as of February 19th, just within this past month, we were granted the ability to proceed with our pilot study. AEP was out there putting out the power today, so we're going to be starting up the pilot here in April or so, and then we're going for about 6 months to a year. And we've been doing good with getting our SBO releases. We put about 40% of the design into a planning request, so we could get far enough along to get all the permitting done. So luckily, out of the $10 million SWIFT monies, total release to date is at 3.5 million. And then once we get our environmental clearances, we need an environmental clearance for this actual pilot for the equipment, land acquisition, and then the full scale project. And with those 3 releases, with environmental clearances, then we'll be able to release the additional 6.4 million. But it doesn't keep us on schedule with what they've already released to date. So, we're not having any trouble paying invoices to keep the project moving on faster. Yeah, so that's where we're at there. And then as far as the last bullet, which is the next fiscal year, we're talking 2025 SWIFT monies. We did submit, and then we got comments. So pretty much right now for construction requests at the state level, we provided their comments. It's under review, and we should be hearing the response in May. We've been selected to apply for construction funds. So pretty much everything's coming down in May. We have the results of our election, and that's when we'll get the invitation for SWIFT for the next fiscal year for construction dollars at the state. We're a full-blown application. And then reclamation is kind of stuck in a wait and see condition. So hopefully that'll be shaken loose by May, so we can kind of know where our federal and state sources are going to be coming from to complete the project. But that's where things stand today. Yeah, that concludes the.
How are we looking at this bond? Some bonds.
We've been looking positive, the meetings that we've had, and, we just continue to spread the word and everyone, hopefully all the customers and sectors understand that it's a necessity, and that's what we're making the point. The water is not available now. In Amistad and Falcon Bay, where usually from 75 to 100%, now we're 20%. So getting to beat it, and there's the Rio Grande Valley, the whole valley is growing. You can see it when you're driving up the highway. There's just subdivisions everywhere, so that's going to be a factor too. But we're spreading the word out. We talked to our employees from last Friday.
Friday.
And the employees are aware of what's going on. And with talking to the families and this and that. So we're all looking positive. That's all I can say.
Do we need to, as we get closer to the election date towards the end, do another, like go to Port Isabel, go to South Padre, and do another, just a reminder that's coming up 2 weeks from now, and then give them the bad news about where we are with the water and all that.
I'll give that first.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is that, and then also you can talk about the grant too. Because a lot of people don't know about that. And so I was just thinking before we get to it, the closer to the vote. Oh, it's fresh in their mind.
Get
what
them
I'm saying.
better, closer. To that, like 3 weeks before maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's also that.
2 weeks. So they could be around.
Coming around the corner fast.
yeah.
Yeah.
They'll come by fast. Come and go fast.
And there is that flyer we're working on. I don't know if we want to look at that as a billing insert or how we're gonna get, more
I don't think,
publications.
can you put that in the bill insert?
Yeah, as the language has to
Yeah,
be
but-
non-biased, or it has to.
But
It's just a notice.
Just
the
a
rest of the
discussion.
information.
Right, it's just
Yeah.
within the-
As long as the language doesn't advocate for one side or the other, it just is purely informational. Which it's getting reviewed to make sure that the language is good.
I'm just saying, some of these board meetings like South Padre, just get on their agenda or something, just to make a reminder, even if you've done a presentation before. as you get
Even in
closer.
open comments, if we can get to these meetings and make a motion or a mention during open meetings, the comment, the public comments.
Going to, yeah, we'll move on that.
Well, are we thinking,
The bond committee is, focus on that too. Moving forward.
Okay, let's keep going on subject.
yeah, that was the initial question, so.
Thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. Let's take it to item 10, consider and discuss for possible approval the finance reports for December 2024.
How did you like this audit experience?
The audit was, everything went, very smooth. Found out at the very end that he wasn't working off of the latest, financials, so. I didn't find out about that till the very end, but, besides that, everything went smoothly.
You mean the August and not the September financials?
Correct.
What was that? It's yours?
I'll take the blame for it. It must have been that we sent him the wrong report. Either that or he may have asked for it early on in the process before I was done with September and we never updated those. So
But he should have known just business standard physical year-end numbers anyways.
yeah.
One of the very end of the bus.
I can say that CRI was a lot more thorough. CRI has a lot more experience. So there's certain areas where they spend a lot more time, ask a lot more questions to.
They have a lot of history.
Yes, and this one I would say was more basic. The reviews was pretty basic.
How much did we say?
I think it was 8,000. Or it was approximately about 8,000.
Where are we coming next year? $8,000. It's just like you're carving around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
On a new thing.
Anything you want else?
On this, I just want to let you know, October, November, we're a little bit slow with consumption. December was better, picked back up more towards the averages on the revenue side, and on the expenditure side, everything was as expected. On track.
Consider and possible approval.
Good. Some of them.
Most second approval, may go that little long, second by Mr. Potter. For all those in favor?
Aye.
They are, are there any opposed? None are, motion carried. Thank you. Let's take it to 11. Consider and review the expenditures for February 1st, 2025 to February 28th, 2025. We didn't acknowledge him. Acknowledged by Dr. Lalonde, acknowledged Mr. Bonner, Mr. Friedman, and Mr. Donahue. That takes us clearly to item 12, which is the adjournment at 6:01 PM. I want to thank everyone for taking their time.